Hi and welcome to my channel. This is Loopy Mabel Crochet. My name is Jane and in today's video it's going to be a tutorial on how to make my latest crochet design, these gorgeous textured wrist warmers. I know the Primrose wrist warmer set was really popular, so I've designed something different for you. But before I go on to the tutorial, I thought I'd just show you what I'm wearing and what Mabel is wearing today. Mabel is wearing the ever popular Mabel crochet snug, and you can get the full tutorial for that and I'll put the link for that up there. And I'm wearing my crochet granny capelet. Again, there's a full tutorial how to make this and I shall pop the link for that up there too. So on to the tutorial. If you'd like to follow along with me today, you're going to need a 5.5mm hook and some Aran weight yarn, and I shall see you back here in a moment. So for today's tutorial, you're going to need 5.5mm hook. I've got some darning needles, some scissors, stitch markers are very useful if you're new to crochet, and we're going to be making these lovely textured Aran wrist warmers, and I'm going to be using an Aran weight yarn obviously, and I'm going for Stylecraft Special Aran. And this is the graphite grey if you're interested, so that's what I'm going to be using today, but you can use any Aran weight yarn, and there is a full PDF pattern that you can download too, and all the instructions in there are for 3 sizes, small, medium and large, but for the purpose of this tutorial I'm doing size medium, which fits my hand, and this is the size that we're going to be doing today. And the tutorial is in UK terms, so if you're watching from the US, double crochet is going to be your single crochet, treble is going to be your double crochet, just so that you are aware of that. And let's begin. So we're going to start off as usual and we're going to make our slip knot. So you make your slip knot whichever way you're familiar with. And we're going to chain 10. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and that's how you form your chains. So we're going to do that. So we've got 10 chains. So we've got 10 chains, and we're going to be working on this cuff section first. So we're going to be working this way along the cuff for this section. So there we have the beginning of your cuff, if you can see, and we're going to be working up the cuff like so. So we've got 10 on our hook. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down into the second chain from our hook, so you don't count, obviously that loop on your hook does not count as anything, and then so you count back 2, so not the first one but the second chain. So we're going to go down into that second chain and we're going to work double crochet, and we're going to work double crochet all the way along. So inserting your hook into each chain. And into that last chain there, double crochet. Now you should have 9 stitches, so if you just want to count, and the way to do that is to count your V stitches at the top of your work. So if you turn your work over, you can see that there is a V shape, and that is your stitch. So you just need to count to make sure you've got 9. So you should have 9 stitches. So we're going to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch throughout. And we're going to be working through the back loop only now for the remainder of the cuff section. Now when I say through the back loop only, let me just show you. Let me take my hook out, and again let's turn the work over so you can see the tops of your stitches and you can see the V's. And we're not going to be working, normally when you crochet you work through both parts of the V. Insert your hook through both parts, but we're not going to be working through both parts. We're going to be working through the back loop only, so we're going to be working through the back part of that V. So we're going to insert our hook into the back part, not the front, the back. And this will give us our ridge effect. So let me just put my hook back in. So working through that back loop and your first stitch, so if you just turn your work over, you can see your first V stitch there, and we're just going to insert our hook into the back part and work a double crochet. And I'm going to insert the stitch marker here, and then you can see where you're going to work into when you come back along this row. And then we're just going to work, it's a little bit fiddly to start with until the cuff grows a bit, but we're just going to work through the back loop only of every stitch. So all 9 stitches working double crochet. Insert your hook through the back loop. Like that. And the last one. So there's your last one there on the end. So set your hook and double crochet. And just, if you want to double check that you've got 9, just count your stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you should have 9 V stitches along the top. And again, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And we're going to work down into that very first stitch and work through the back loop only, double crochet. And I'm just going to add a stitch marker to that first stitch. And this is purely for when you're new to crochet, you can identify where you're going to insert your hook into the last stitches of each row, because sometimes they can easily be missed. So just continue on now through the back loop only, working your double crochet. Not the front, the back. And again, and got one more to go because our stitch marker's there just to show. It could easily be missed that. So insert your hook, take your stitch marker out and work your double crochet. And as I say, you can always count to make sure you've got the 9. You want 9 stitches throughout. So we're just going to continue on like this. So chain 1 and turn, working through that very first stitch in the back loop only. Work your double crochet. Insert your stitch marker if it helps you. And we're going to continue on like this, working every row through the back loop only until you have completed 26 rows. So if I leave you to work 26 rows, working through the back loop only, double crochet in every stitch, and I shall see you somewhere towards the end of row 26. So I'm just on the end of row 26, so I've just got a few to finish off. So there we go. So you should have your cuff looking something similar to this. So 26 rows in total. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the cuff and join the cuff together. So you've got like so. And then we're going to work up the wrist warmer. So we're just going to put the cuff together now. So just keep your yarn on your hook. And we're just going to bring the 2 ends together, the short ends, 2 short ends together. And we're going to insert our hook in through that first stitch opposite and slip stitch. And we're going to work through every stitch. So there's the first one, so go down to the second one. Catch this opposite second one, yarn over and pull through, and you do that all the way along. So you're picking up 9 stitches and you're slip stitching through every stitch. So you're picking up, if you turn the work sideways, you can see the V's. So you insert your hook through both stitches in the V and go across opposite for the corresponding stitch. Now there won't be 2 V's on this side because this is the chain that we did at the beginning, so you're working on the remaining part of that chain. And yarn over, pull through and pull through, slip stitch close. So if I just show you that our first row where we first started off with the chains, because it was our chain foundation row, you're only going to have 1 bar to pick up. Can you see? Just the 1 bar on this side, as opposed to this side that we've just finished working on. We've got the two stitches to work through, so you're picking up 2 on one side and 1 on the other. So just going to work all the way along, picking up the stitch and the corresponding opposite stitch and slip stitch closed. And last one, don't forget that one on the end, and the last stitch there on the end. Yarn over and slip stitch close. So now by doing it that way, you don't have to cut your yarn and you have created a really neat join. And what we're going to do now is turn our cuff through to the right way. So just literally turn your cuff through, so that seam is now on the inside and you've got a really neat looking cuff. So now we're going to work on to the textured part of the wrist warmer, and it's really simple, 1 row pattern. First of all, we're going to do a row of double crochet and we're going to pick up 26 stitches. Now because we did 26 rows, it's easy to pick up, so you're going to pick up a stitch when you're down in the ditch and you're going to pick up a stitch when you've got the ridge. So you're going to pick up a stitch there and then you're going to pick up a stitch at the top of there. Just going to chain 1 first, which does not count as a stitch, and we're going to go down into the first and double crochet. And then we've got, that's down in the dip, so we're going to go now onto the peak and we're going to insert our hook at the top and work a double crochet. So we're going to insert our hook into the bottom part of that and double crochet. And then we've got the peak, so insert your hook, and it's just easy so you can see where to insert your hook. And you do this all the way along, working double crochet. And I've just got 1 more to go. And that's 26. And we're just going to slip stitch to the top of that first double crochet that we did. Now obviously I should have put a stitch marker in there to highlight it for you. So if you are new to crochet, don't forget to put your stitch marker in. And we're just going to slip stitch to the top of that first double crochet. So now we've got our first row of double crochets. We're going to continue now up the rest of the wrist warmer, working this pretty textured cluster stitch. As always, we're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and down into that first stitch we're going to work 3 incomplete trebles. So yarn over, insert your hook back down into that stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 and leave that there. Yarn over, back down, work another incomplete treble, which is yarn over, pull through 2, got 3 on your hook, yarn over, back down, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and you should have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. We're going to chain 1, we're going to skip 1 and we're going to go down into the next and work another 3 treble cluster. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, down, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, down, yarn over, pull through, 4 on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. And then we're going to chain 1, skip 1 and work down into the next stitch and work your cluster again. So 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all 4 and chain 1, and you're creating this gorgeous textured cluster. So we're just going to repeat that all the way around. So do your 3 incomplete trebles, and then you chain 1, skip 1, then down into the next. And I shall see you somewhere towards the end of this first round, and I'll show you how to finish off this round. So I've just come to my last cluster stitch there, and I'm just going to chain 1, skip that last one, and insert my hook to the top of that first cluster that we did, and slip stitch, and that completes your first round. And you should have 13 clusters. All we're going to do now is continue with the same pattern, but for each row we need to be working into that chain 1 space that we did in between each cluster. So obviously to get across from there to there, we need to slip stitch across. Just insert your hook to the top of that stitch and slip stitch, and again slip stitch into the space. Okay, so now we're in position to work our second round, and we're not going to turn our work, we're just going to work around and around and around for this tutorial. So we're going to chain 1 and always chain 1, and it doesn't count as a stitch. Always chain 1 at the beginning of your round, and then we're going to work our 3 incomplete trebles into that space. So 1, 2 and 3. You should have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. And let's just insert our stitch marker, which is in there, and when you come round you'll know exactly where to insert your hook to do your slip stitch. So then just chain 1, working into the next chain space, work your 3 incomplete trebles, and we're just going to do this all the way along. So if I leave you to work your 3 incomplete trebles, you chain 1, 3 incomplete trebles into each space, and I shall see you somewhere around about here, and I'll show you how to finish off this round, and we'll go from there. So I've just finished my last cluster. I'm going to chain 1 and then obviously slip stitch to the beginning, and that's because we've got our stitch marker in, we can see exactly where we're going to insert our hook, so you can see straight away. So insert your hook, take your stitch marker out and slip stitch, and that's round 2. And all we're going to do is repeat this round now for a total of 6 rounds, so you should have 6 rows of clusters. And then round 7 we're going to do the thumb hole, and I'll show you how to do that. So if I leave you to work round and round for the next 6 rounds in total, and don't forget you need to slip stitch across to that first chain space, so just literally slip stitch and then slip stitch, so you're over the chain space before you start each round, then chain 1 and then off you go working into those spaces. So I shall see you somewhere towards the end of round 6, ready for the thumb hole round. I'm just going to finish off with my chain 1 and slip stitch to the top of that first cluster. So your wrist warmer should be looking something like this now. How easy peasy is that? Just 1 pattern row, and you can have these made up in no time. So now we've got to the end of round 6. So we're going to do round 7, which we're going to create that thumb section there. And it's super simple. So all we're going to do is slip stitch across again to that chain space, so we're in the right position. So we're just going to create the thumb hole now on this round. So, and it works for both right and left hand mitts. So all we're going to do is we're going to work 8 clusters, so chain 1 and then work your 8 clusters. So let's just do that. So we've got 8 clusters worked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're now going to work our thumb hole section. So what we're going to do is chain 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We're going to skip 3 clusters, 1, 2, 3 and go down into that next chain space and continue with your cluster as before. Like so, and that has created the hole for your thumbs. Chain 1 and then just continue working as before, working your clusters into the chain spaces all the way around. Chain 1 and then we're just going to slip stitch to the top of that first one, and that completes round 7. So just a quick note, sorry I didn't mention it before, on row 8 obviously you've just done your thumb hole for row 7. When you come to the thumb hole on row 8, all you just continue across, making up the 3 clusters that you've missed out for the previous row. So I'm just working into that space with my 3 incomplete trebles, chain 1 and then down back into that space and do that again. Chain 1 and one more time because we've skipped 3 to make the thumb hole, so we need to put those 3 clusters back in. So we've done 1, we've done 2, so we're just going to go back down into that thumb hole and do one more cluster. Chain 1 and then just continue as before, and I shall see you at the end of row 9. So I'm just at the end of row 9, so I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of that first cluster that we did, and we're just going to now finish off with this pretty little edge just to finish off the wrist warmers. So it's really simple. All we're going to do is chain 1. I'm going to be slip stitching across to that chain space like before, so if you just slip stitch across, so you're in the chain space, and we're just going to chain 1, does not count as a stitch, and we're going to be working into the chain spaces for this final row, and we're going to do a double crochet into that chain space, chain 2, back down into that chain space and double crochet into the next space, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and just repeat this all the way along into each chain space, working double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. I'm just working into the last chain space with our double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and we're just going to slip stitch to the top of that first double crochet that we did, and just slip stitch, and just going to cut the yarn at last and just pull it through, tighten your yarn, and there you have your gorgeous rustic textured wrist warmer complete with your thumb hole. I'll just show you. Obviously you need to sew in our ends. And that edging just gives it a really pretty touch. And that is how you do these gorgeous textured wrist warmers, and you just repeat this again for your other hand, and how simple are they? So I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope you're going to be making lots of these gorgeous textured wrist warmers. If you did like this video, please don't forget to give me that lovely thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed and you love crochet and you like my crochet designs, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that little bell, and then you'll never miss out on any videos, any vlogs, tutorials that I bring out. As always, there's always a full PDF pattern to go with all my tutorials. My tutorials are free, and you can buy my PDF patterns to run alongside the tutorials, and the link for all my patterns will be in the box below, and they're all in my shop, loopymabelcrochet.com. If you'd like to support my channel and you'd like to buy me a virtual coffee, then you can go over to my coffee account and you can just donate and buy me a virtual coffee, and all the money that you donate I then plough back into this channel, buy lots more yarn, then I can do lots more free tutorials for you lovely people out there. But there's no pressure at all. If you do have any comments on this tutorial, or if there's anything you'd like to ask me, please just let me know in the box below and I will get back to you, I promise. But until the next time, as I always say, please take care and happy crochet.